All right, welcome back to our continuing coverage of high school football here in Southern Arizona. I'm David Kelly, pleased to be joined today by longtime local high school football coach and state championship high school football coach, Jeff Scurran, one of the men that is behind the Southern Arizona All-Star Football Showcase, which is going to be happening here in June, a collection of some of the finest senior football players, cheerleaders, all going to be involved in this event. And Jeff, let's first start out. It's a great idea. It wasn't necessarily as easy to put together, I'm sure, as you had hoped.
You know, everything that starts out great and looks like a great idea always has pitfalls along the way. It reminds me of putting together a championship season over the years. You know, you just think, this is a team that could do it. And in fact, when you do win, you realize the amount of obstacles you have to overcome along the way for anything worthwhile. And really, with what's happened to our seniors this year, we just all strongly felt like we needed to do something and give them really something really cool before they leave. And the city got behind us, the county got behind us, the Arizona Bowl got behind us. We have so many organizations that are really trying to help these kids, the school districts, and this is going to be a great event. And we just need now more kids to sign up to make it go.
The one entity that did not get behind you, the Arizona Interscholastic Association, the AIA. How disappointing was that when the news came down that they weren't going to sanction your ball game?
I think that really depends upon, who you talk to and their experience in dealing with the AIA. I think most of us that have been down this road several times, I've coached in 17 all-star games in either in Europe or here in the United States, and they all kind of come out a little bit the same way. There's some real commonality things, and I think when you start dealing with all-star games and you're dealing with national organizations or state organizations, it always gets a little tricky, and because people have their own territory to protect. It's kind of like a turf war opens, and the easiest thing is to go in the summer and to deliver the goods for the kids. That's what we're all here for, and we want to kind of move forward now. And that was a little blip, and but those of us that are experiencing this stuff, we kind of planned for this and kind of understood how this would all happen.
What were some of the other challenges in putting this game together?
Well, you would think that money would be the big thing, but that has not been the case. We are really so well organized, and the people have jumped on board. I can't begin to tell you how the Arizona Bowl being part of this has really made us come together. Kim Adair is spectacular. And of course, everybody sees the results of the Arizona Bowl and how big that's become in such a short time. But Kim's been fantastic, and Ali Farhang, Dr. Trujillo, the head of TUSD, has been wonderful. Paul Cunningham behind the scenes with the city and Mayor Romero. I mean, really, and Pima County officials, everybody's been so cooperative. We've got the money, we've got the insurance, we're rock and rolling, we're ready to go to deliver for the kids.
So now, how did Neimer Hassey and Dennis Benet come into play in coaching this ball game? Did they approach you? Did you guys approach them? How did that all come together?
Well, I've got to take a little of the blame for that because both those guys worked for me a long time ago. They're some of my favorite people in the world. When the committee approached me about being the game director, those two guys popped right in my head right away. I wanted two alumni coaches, so to speak. I wanted two guys that didn't have active teams to be the head of it. And I wanted people that had credibility in Southern Arizona. And come on, how do you get better than Dennis Benet and Neimer Hassey in terms of quality coaching and quality people? And they've put together a staff of guys that I mean, it's an all-star coaching staff, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think these guys are going to have a good time, particularly with the selection process. That's one of the more unique things, having an NFL-style draft of players. I think the biggest problem so far, particularly with the on and off with the AIA and the date change, has been getting kids on board to sign up and getting schools to cooperate, knowing that we were okay in terms of being legal with the AIA rules. And now we're all past that. And so we just got to get more kids signed up, because with 100 players and 10 alternates, that's a lot of kids for Southern Arizona. And a lot of kids are thinking that, oh, maybe this game's above my head. And that's not true. If they played high school football and they're a senior, we want them to apply, because with draft by position, And a lot of coaches don't know these guys. You never know. Average high school players should be in this game. They should apply, not thinking this is for superstars. That's not what we set this up for. That's why, back in the old days, we had 31 kids that were on each team when we had the statewide North-South game. Now we have 100 kids just from Southern Arizona. Kids, get out there, apply. Put your name in the ring, play another football game, wear that wonderful jersey that we're going to have for you, collect the swag, play in front of your parents, play on TV, have a great last experience with your high school career and enjoy the moment. But you got to enroll to do it, which means you got to go to Southern Arizona Allstars.com and fill out the application and sign up. You no longer need school approval since it's in the summer. And so we want kids to get out there and play and have a great experience.
And my understanding is there'll be about a week of practice leading up to the game.
Yes, we have a real cool week, including one night where U of A alums are going to come in and coach the kids for a half an hour in an event called High School to College and try and teach them the difference in not only the rules, but the style of play and how they need to prepare to go from high school to college. We also have extensive filming of parts of practice in the game so that each participant can download their own highlights and have something valuable to send out to recruiters if they want to play in the future. That's all included in the package. There's no cost to any student athlete involved in this game. We've got everything covered for them.
And also there's going to be, obviously we mentioned at the top, there's going to be a cheerleaders and dance team members, spirit folk, kids involved as well. What are the numbers that you're expecting on that? Is there any cap to that, to as many boys and girls that want to be involved on that side?
Yeah, we're trying to get as many involved as that. There really shouldn't need to be a cap on that. It's really it's a little bit different animal because we don't have to get them in the game, and they're going to be part of the halftime special, and they're going to be on the sidelines, and we've got plenty of gifts and swag for them too, so they can enjoy again one last hurrah of high school sports, and that's what we had in mind. And I listen. There's very few cities in the United States that would get behind and put together an effort like this. I think it's a cool story. We've got the city of Tucson and Pima County and the Arizona Bowl all together trying to have one great event for these kids that have missed so much because of something like COVID that's completely out of their hands. And that's why we've had such great response from sponsors. Really, I have not heard a no yet. That's incredible. I mean, I'm not used to that. That's it. I'm pretty good at fundraising over the years, but this has been something else. I'm really happy with our community.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot as a guy that has coached high school football and coached on the collegiate level and worked with professional teams in various areas. Who is maybe give me one or two high school football coaches here in Southern Arizona that you really like to watch and you like watching their teams and the way they operate?
Well, I've got a soft spot in my heart for a few guys. I've got Scotty McKee out there at Saguaro, who played for me and coached with me, and of course when Brandon Sanders was coaching, with the U of A connection, and he coached with me at Foothills and coaching at Pueblo. I used to love watching what he did with those kids. When Dennis and Niemer were coaching, that Niemer is so analytical and such a good teacher, and Dennis with his fire and his spirit. I mean, we're very fortunate. I mean, we've got Matt out at Mountain View now, Matt Johnson does a great job and one of the best line coaches I've ever seen. There's a lot of good coaching that's right here. Joe Thomas down down at the border at Sierra Vista Buena. He played for me at Pima College out of Tombstone High School, and now he's the head coach at Sierra Vista. He's done a great job in turning that program into a competitive. The kids here are fortunate. Not only good coaches, but we've got a lot of good guys coaching football down here, and that really makes it fun.
I've always wondered, we see these guys like Niemer and Jay Campos, who are tremendous coaches, but then they get out of it to get into administration. What drives a guy who loves football to step away from that to be at a higher level within a high school?
David, that's a fantastic question, because what separates having coached high school, college, and professional myself now. It's given me an opportunity to see the real differences in these things. And high school guys that really like high school, they're educators. And so when you get in the field of education, you start to say, where could I, as an educator, as a teacher, as someone trained in this whole picture, where could I have the biggest impact on kids and improving education in our community? And if you look at what Niemers did on the football field, what he did as a teacher, and what he done, and Jay Campos and his record and what he's done, and then you see them now in administrative roles, they are able to create wonderful things happen for a lot of kids, a much bigger broad base of children than you would have if you were just a coach of particularly of one sport. Back in my day, I used to coach 3 sports. That's completely unheard of now. But in my day, we all did it. It was just what you did. You never had a break. And not only that, it was actually in your contract. So if you gave up one of your sports and you weren't a very good classroom teacher, they could let you go right away. But see, guys like those, like you mentioned Niemer and Jay Campos, those guys won big at football, and now they're winning big for kids in a different format. But that's what separates the personalities between guys like, high school coaches and guys that really want to coach on the collegiate level, because that's a different level of interacting with I call them kids. They're children. Even in college, they're not full grown adults. They're still, they look and feel like adults, and they have some responsibility, but they're still kids in many ways. And I think that's one of the big things that these guys that choose to go into educational administration, they're teachers, they're educators, and they've learned that they can have a much larger impact on that area than just winning some football games or frankly making a bigger paycheck nowadays and going into college. Or I always wanted to coach in front of 70,000 people. And then when I did it, I found out it's like coaching in front of 1,000 people. I actually coached a championship game in Atlanta, Georgia, with no spectators. And 2 minutes into the game, you're just coaching football. That's what you're doing. You don't know any of that's going on. Because if you do know that's going on, you can't do your job of coaching your kids.
All right, before we get out of here, your initial thoughts on Jed Fish and what he's kind of laying the groundwork over at the U of A.
Well, you couldn't get a better start than Coach Fitch has done. My hat's off to him. He's really captured the community. He's listened to what we want. He brings in a wealth of experience with some of the winningest big time coaches in our business. We even have a mutual buddy in Steve Spurrier, going back a long time for me and not so much long for him, but he's just listened to the community, and everything he's doing has been right now spot on. He's crossing the T's and dotting the I's and doing everything right. But you also have to remember, we call this in coaching the honeymoon period. The guy is undefeated right now. Let's see what happens when games start, because fans can be very fickle. And that's why, as a coach, you've got to take care of your players. You've got to listen to your own administration. You've got to listen to the community, and you just go out there and you do the best you can as a coach, because fans are fickle. It's an old saying, we're with you, coach. We're with you, win or tie, So right now it's the honeymoon period, and he's undefeated. So he's doing real good.
All right, Jeff, remind those kids one more time. The time is running out. They need to get signed up for this game.
April 7th is the deadline. SouthernArizonaAllstars.com. The application's in there. They don't need administrative approval. The new application is done. Of course, they need to provide, and borrow their own equipment from their school for protective everything. But everything else we supply, and they are going to get some of the coolest jerseys that you have ever seen. This is a keepsake for life, buddy.
And the schools are being very receptive to obviously allowing the kids to use the equipment and whatnot.
Yeah, I really haven't had, since the AAA has said that's okay, we really haven't had much blowback for that. But so much of that depends upon their coach and their school. And come on, let's face it, there's just some schools that are more into their kids than others, and that's a shame. But that's life, that's reality.
Right. Hey, Jeff, as always, appreciate you taking a few moments to join us today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate everything you're doing, and keep up the good work. We love our kids down here, and we got to take care of them.
Absolutely. It is the Southern Arizona All-Star Football Showcase on June 4th. Application deadline April 7th. Practice begins on May 31st. And again, it's an event for football players, cheerleaders, Palms, everyone involved with the class of 2021. Jeff Scurran, longtime head football coach here in Tucson, Arizona. We appreciate your time. And as always, thanks again. And stay with us here at News 4 Tucson for continuing coverage of high school football. Friday Football Fever.